Without my dad, I'm nothing. Plus, I got family and friends, a lot of supporters and everything, so that's really what kept me going over the years.
Jesse Misskelley, a name that made headlines as one of the suspects in the West Memphis Three murders. That clip you just heard was the last time he spoke publicly more than a decade ago. Jesse, along with Damian Eccles and Jason Baldwin, were accused of killing 3 West Memphis boys, Stephen, Michael, and Christopher. All new tonight, Jesse's lawyer is breaking his silence decades later, saying the 3 teens did not do the killings. Instead, he has his own theory. THV 11's Ashley Godwin sits down with him as he shares things never heard before.
30 years ago, Dan Stidham was a rookie lawyer who got a call that a teenager needed representation. He was told it was an open and shut case since the boy had already confessed to the murders. But as Stidham learned more about Jesse Misskelley, he says he soon realized his client could be innocent. It was 1993. Police accused 3 teenagers of murdering 3 West Memphis boys, 8-year-olds Stephen, Michael, and Christopher. Dan Stidham represented one of those teens accused, Jesse Misskelley. He became his lawyer after Misskelley confessed to helping kill the boys, but Stidham says things didn't add up.
We'd ask him a question and he'd get it wrong. So the confession itself contained not only improbabilities, but also impossibilities.
It's things Stidham's kept quiet for more than 30 years, saying there are people that wanted to keep the truth buried. Now he's breaking his silence in his book, A Harvest of Innocence.
When Mr. Misskelley refers to the victims, he refers to them as the buyers or the branch, and I thought, that's kind of odd. And it dawned on me, he was looking at a photograph from the newspaper, the local newspaper, that referred to the victims as the in front of them. And so he was just parroting that back.
As Stidham continued to represent Misskelley, he says he realized his client didn't skip school like he originally said, and he wasn't at the crime scene anywhere near the time of the deaths of the boys. Despite this, in 1994, juries found Misskelley, Damian Eccles, and Jason Baldwin guilty of the murders.
I leaned over, and of course he's only about that tall. I said, kid, I'm going to get you out of prison if it's the last thing I do.
The 3 spent more than 18 years behind bars, but a chance for release eventually came in the form of an Alford plea.
To me, it seemed like a victory in 2011. I got to keep my promise to my client that I would get him out of prison.
But now Stidham says, looking back, he doesn't agree with the Alford plea. It allowed Misskelley, Eccles, and Baldwin to maintain their innocence while pleading guilty. But that's something he says is an oxymoron.
Do you really, really think that the state of Arkansas would have let somebody walk off of death row and 2 people walk out of prison serving life sentences if they thought they had killed 3 8-year-old kids?
He hasn't given up, working for decades to try and prove their innocence, including pinpointing a different suspect in the murders of the boys, a truck driver who's possibly a serial killer.
There was a 10-acre truck stop right next to where the bodies were discovered, and that's where the kids were last seen riding their bicycles. And you can back up your 18-wheeler almost to the crime scene itself.
Stidham is now a district judge serving here in Arkansas. He says this case has stuck with him and ultimately changed the way he runs his courtroom.
If the question is, do I allow Alford pleas in my courtroom? The answer is no. And in my way of thinking it through, you either did it or you didn't.
The West Memphis Three case is still playing out in the courts more than 30 years after the murders. Most recently, the Arkansas Supreme Court ruled evidence could be retested with new technology to see if there's DNA of the killer on ligatures used to kill the boys. Eccles, Baldwin, and Misskelley continue to maintain their innocence to this day.
Ashley, thank you. Stidham's book, A Harvest of Innocence, is available right now. You can order it at Wordsworth, Amazon, and Barnes & Noble.